Every week, NFL teams battle for a victory. The members of the Round Table battle to rank the top 10 teams in the NFL. Guests bring their arguments and defend their top 10. Hosted by Thomas Brown, this is the Rankings Round Table.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are finally here. This is the finale of the Rankings Roundtable show. It's going to be a lot of fun. I did not come alone. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. And by the way, I want to add this quick tangent real fast. We need to stop calling it Black Monday. We should just call it Black Week, because it feels like even though you thought that you were free on Monday, people are still getting fired yesterday and then the following day afterwards. We should just call it Black Week. Just that way we're covered for the entire week. That's just me. Anyways, the playoffs are here. We have some top 10 lists to discuss, and I am so excited. And you know what? This feels like old times, man. He's been on the show before. We got something going on with the Off the Dome show. It feels good to always have him on with me. Brock, a brother from another mother. How you doing, my man?
I am doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. First of all, I want to take the opportunity to congratulate you in front of everybody on being a part of the Sports Illustrated team. I know it's a long time coming. Just wanted to give you the congratulations on that regard, man. Good stuff, man. How you
Thank
feel?
you, sir. No, I feel great. I mean, it's a great opportunity. I work with a lot of great people. And what I am so fortunate about is that the same types of people that I work with over there were the same types of people I worked with at Team MBS Media. So it's just high high character people at both locations. And it's been fun, to put it bluntly. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. So, not going to hold you too long, everybody, because we got some changes coming up pretty soon. But that is not going to stop us from telling you all about our top 10 lists, because boy, oh boy, we got the playoffs upon us, which means there's some teams that are in the penthouse, and then there's some teams who are in the outhouse. And by the outhouse in our show, it's considered the stinky 5 lists, baby. So without a further ado, Brock, can you do us all a favor and tell everybody what your top 10 list looks like and why?
Yes, absolutely. So looking here, we got our top 10 list. We got the Chiefs at number 1, of course, Lions at 2, Eagles at 3, Ravens at 4, Rams at 5. And the reason why is because I believe that, though I know a lot of people are going to disagree because I have the Bills so low and the Vikings so low, when I look at the overall construction of those 5 teams, I see teams that are built to win throughout the entire postseason, and I'm not too sure about the rest of the teams. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, Brock, what are you talking about? There's the Buffalo Bills. Brock, you're an idiot. Brock, you're stupid. And you know what? I might be. But I do not have the same confidence in the Bills that I do with the top 5 teams. Of course, I have Kansas City as number 1. They're the best record in the NFL. They are 2-time defending champions. No reason to have them not there. And quote unquote, they have bad wins. No such thing as a bad win in the NFL or in general. Right? A win is a win, and for a team that wins in so many different ways, I think that is the characteristics of a championship franchise. It's not about blowing every team out. It's about finding different ways to get the job done. Kansas City does that the best. Detroit is number 2 because they do that the second best. Of course, we saw them find different ways to win throughout the entire season. Only 2 losses were, of course, to the Bills, and in just a wild game, a crazy offensive performance by Buffalo, and also week 2 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who oddly have knocked off a bunch of really good teams and then lost to a bunch of bad ones. It's a very odd team, but whatever. Eagles, the lack of clarity that I have on Jalen Hurts' situation is why I have them at 3. But their victory over Baltimore in the regular season is why I put Baltimore at 4. Ravens, firing all cylinders. King Henry looks great. And as we all know, King Henry is a prime top performer in the playoffs. I expect them to have a big game against Pittsburgh, especially since they're hosting it. Ravens, honestly, 1 through 4 are very interchangeable depending on what your perspective. I'm just going off of record and what they've done in the season. I think the Rams are when the tier starts to drop a little bit just because Matthew Stafford has not been playing well these past couple of weeks. In his past 3 games, he hasn't thrown over 200 yards in any of them. But I also believe that there's a lot of elements of Sean McVay's playbook he has not yet put out there because he has been saving it for the postseason. I expect a very diverse passing attack by the Rams moving forward. They have one of the best young defenses in the NFL, and they're all growing together. Defense coordinator, the players, they're all growing together. Pro Bowler Jared Verse gets his first Pro Bowl selection. I apologize. And he is a rookie, will most likely win Rookie of the Year. Expect him to have a big game when they go and take on Minnesota. The Bills, they're a big question mark for me. For as much as I praise them for being the Lions, I praise them for being the Chiefs, they also lost in a shootout to the Rams. And I don't like how many shootouts they've been in. That's the big problem for me. In the playoffs, it's all about defense. I have some serious questions about the defense, especially in the defensive secondary. However, if this is the year that Josh Allen gets it done, he deserves to win every single accolade there's out there that he won't already win, because this has been one of the best jobs by a quarterback and an organization to move on off of a star wide receiver I have seen in some time. I just, again, had major concerns on that defensive secondary. And I have some concerns on the Bills' pass rush. Von Miller isn't the same Von Miller anymore, as we've known for quite a while. I don't know if they're going to be able to routinely get home on the quarterback in the postseason. The Vikings, Sam Darnold is a big question mark for me. He missed way too many open passes. He targets Justin Jefferson a bit too much. And I feel Detroit just gave everybody the playbook on how to beat them. Alongside that fact, I do have some concerns about their ability to not blitz all the time in the playoffs. That is a staple of the Brian Flores defense. I feel that they're going to become blitz heavy in critical situations. And while sometimes that works out perfectly, there are other situations in which you can get burned, and I believe the Rams will burn them in their matchup. Of course, Brian Flores is one of the best defense coordinators in the NFL, so that could go a separate way. I think the Rams are going to force the Vikings to go strictly to man coverage, and that is how they will be able to exploit them. Moving to number 8, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. They finished their season on a 3-game winning streak. Were very strong in all 3 of those games, as well. Of course, 2 of them were 2 weaker opponents, but of course, being that Denver game completely flipped the AFC playoff picture on its head. I think the fact that they were able to go out and overtake the Steelers for the 5th seed shows a team that is locked in and focused right now. Jim Harbaugh is a proven winner in the postseason, and they're playing a Houston team that has looked absolutely awful lately. So that's why I have them at 8. Packers, I have them at 9, even though they are the 7th seed compared to the Commanders at 6, because they have a veteran quarterback, they have a strong rushing game, they have a solid offensive line. I think their defense is going to shine brightly in the postseason. I actually picked the Packers to upset the Eagles in the playoffs. I know that that's not something that you want to hear, Thomas. Quite frankly, I want to see the Eagles go on a long run. I think that if there is going to be an upset, I am picking the Packers to pull it off because there's so much we don't know about the Eagles heading to the postseason. Lastly, with the Commanders, they've done a phenomenal job this season, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They've gotten rid of a bunch of the older players, so it's all Dan Quinn's guys going forward. I do think that Cliff Kingsbury's offense is a bit susceptible in the playoffs, and that's why I have them ranked at 10.
Interesting list here. Now, Brock, you know me better than most, so you're gonna have to forgive me for how I'm gonna ask about some of these teams that are not on your list here.
Of course.
No Tampa.
Correct.
And no Broncos. Can you explain that for me?
Absolutely. So it's not that they were deserving to go on those lists. For Tampa Bay, I feel that there are some concerns with them in their defensive secondary, as long as the play of Baker Mayfield. Mayfield, though he got it together late against the Saints, was absolutely awful against them earlier. And it took a Herculean effort by Jalen McMillan to lift Tampa Bay over a fledgling New Orleans team. Alongside that fact, if they're able to shut down Mike Evans, which has happened in the past with other teams, is McMillan that guy is going to be able to step up? I just feel that for the Buccaneers, they've had too many injuries right now for me to put them in my current top 10 rankings. With that being said, I do think that they will beat the Commanders. I just can't rank them as a whole unit above them right now. I think that there are other factors that are going to go into that playoff game that you cannot put into factoring this top 10 list.
Interesting. Okay, and what about Denver real fast?
Denver, I just have some questions about their inexperience in these big time moments. So they have a Super Bowl winning head coach. I just think that reason, alongside the performances against the Bengals and against the Chargers, was the reason why I had to leave them off of the list.
Gotcha. That's fair. That's fair. And you know what, y'all? Y'all thought it was just us too? No, we got some fun. Now this guy here, I don't know how he does it week in, week out. His team is currently looking for a head coach right now. Depending on the head coach, they might mess around and look for a GM and a head coach. We shall see. I present to you a guy who's been a reoccurring guy on this show. Dan, how you doing, my man? How are you?
I'm good, man. It's good to be here. But you know what? I am not in a bad mood this week. You can start with the shenanigans and you could talk about us looking for a coach and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, we won in Green Bay. We won in Lambeau the other day, right? On Sunday, we got the W in Lambeau. I don't care. Y'all can say what you want to about my squad right now. I don't care. I'm happy. I'm good.
Oh,
and it's good to be here, man.
I feel
What's
like
up,
we
Brock?
just
What's
gave
up,
a lifetime achievement award. Oh, we just gave a lifetime achievement award to Dan for the Green Bay Packers losing to the Chicago Bears at home. Okay. All right. Well, Dan, I'm pretty sure you have a top 10 list of your own that you want to share with us. What does it look like and explain why?
Okay, well, let me get to starting on it right quick. We got the lowly Packers at number 10. I wanted to drop them out of it, but I had to go ahead and put them up there just because their record indicated that, hey, they're a little bit better. I do have some teams with a better record ahead of them, though. But I would put the Packers up there. They're up there in the number 10 spot. I wish I could have put them at like 12, to be honest with you. 12, 13 would have been satisfactory in my opinion. The Broncos, man, I don't care what nobody says. The Chiefs didn't have anybody to play. They, you know what I mean? They rested a lot of people and things like that. But when a team comes out, when they must win a game and they dominate, I don't care who you dominate, backups, whoever, when you dominate and you perform in this situation that you need to perform when the pressure's on, I like that. I like what Bo Nix did last week. 4 touchdowns, 26 to 29, only 3 incomplete passes. I mean, he's stepping up. He's shining. And as much as I hate to give Sean Payton credit because I do not like that guy, because I do not like him, so be it, man. It is what it is. I give him a little bit of credit. The Commanders, of course, are in number 9 or the number 8 team on my list. The Commanders, they just leave something's missing there for me. A lot of people would probably have them higher on their list. I'm not sure what you guys' list looks like right now, but there's something missing, man. The Commanders will probably be on their way out in the first round of the playoffs. I'm not looking for them to do that much. I think they have some issues that they need to shore up, and they rode a nice little wave at the beginning of the season, but I think it's coming to an end pretty quickly. Let alone I still hate them for that Hail Mary that they did. The Chargers are in the number 7 position. I like what Jim Harbaugh is doing. Jim Harbaugh is an excellent coach, man. He's got the guys playing defense. He's got the run game going. He's got, Justin Herbert, you have him. They have a solid team, right? They're about a couple years away from really being competitive. They got some more pieces that they need to add. But, man, you got to put them in that 7th spot, in my opinion, because they've been doing their due diligence when it comes to the football game. So, I put the Chargers there. The Vikings, they took a loss to the Detroit Lions. I would have had them higher on this list because they only got 3 losses on the season. But the fashion and way that they got dominated by the Detroit Lions, when you got shots of the defensive coordinator sitting on the sideline, sitting on the bench like he's Phil Jackson back in 1996, coaching the Chicago Bulls sleeping on the bench because they were dominating. That's what Aaron Glenn looked like the other day. Matter of fact, I wouldn't mind if the Bears went ahead and hired Aaron Glenn, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. That's just my opinion. A lot of people were stuck on Ben Johnson, but I'm looking at Aaron Glenn, the adversity that he's faced with the amount of injuries that he's had to that defense, and for guys to just come in and come out and come in and come out and them still be playing at a top-notch level is outstanding. I'll get to them in a minute. The Baltimore Ravens, very nice team. Lamar Jackson putting up astronomical numbers, of course, 41 touchdowns this year. Outstanding play. You got wonderful play from the running back as well. Once again, though, with the Ravens, man, when they go up against the Bills or the Chiefs, I wonder what they do. You know what I mean? So I can't put them any higher than what I have them at 5. Philadelphia. I've said this, and as reluctant I am to say this, I'm going to go ahead and say it. The Lions and the Bills, I've always said, have very, very complete teams, which means that they just win. They're like a machine. They go out there and they win and they win and they win, and they're complete teams. The Philadelphia Eagles are I got to put them in that category as well. They're a complete team, which means they run the ball well, they receive, their passing game is good, their defense is stepping up and is becoming better than what they were playing earlier this season as well. So when you look at a complete teams, I'm looking at those 3 teams really as being complete teams that really step up in all aspects of the game. So I have to put them up there. The Chiefs, once again, they rested everybody. They took a loss on purpose, I guess you might say. But I'm not going to put them above the Bills or the Lions because I think they've gotten away with a lot of murder this year. They've gotten away with some things that they shouldn't have gotten away with. And I just don't see them being on the Bills or the Lions level. And that's just my opinion. The Bills, I'm going to put them up there, of course, at number 2. Once again, Josh Allen, man, what he's able to do on a daily, week-to-week basis is unbelievable in leading that team. They've stripped away a lot of his talent that surrounds him, but he's still able to make people better. That's what you want. It's the ideal situation, right? And he's when I look at these development of quarterbacks in the league nowadays, Josh Allen is it for me because Josh Allen came in and they had a ton of weapons around him to help him be better. He struggled a little bit. He got better. They got Stephon Diggs. He got better. Then they start pulling these pieces away. They've replaced them with other pieces, not as talented, but he's still finding a way to get wins, to make those guys around him better. Josh Allen, you got to give him credit for what they've done. Is wonderful. The Lions are the number 1 team in my power rankings. I've consistently had the Lions up there towards the top, probably at the one position, pretty much all season. Like I said, it's a complete team, man. Like people thought that, their defensive end going down was going to be the demise of the defense. Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions in one game on the road, and they won largely due to their defensive play and how they kept them in games. Jared Goff has thrown games where he's had 2 or 3 interceptions this year, and they're winning games. This last game that they won against the Vikings, their defense dominated the Vikings. They shut them down, and that's a potent Vikings offense as well. You got Justin Jefferson, you got those guys on there, T.J. Hockenson, and they looked like a shell of themselves and what they were capable of doing going against that Lions defense. And like I said, Aaron Glenn sitting on the sidelines, man, you know what I mean? Watching the game, basically not even, like he's basically sleeping during the game because his defense is handling business the way that they do. Man, you got to give them credit for what they've done. I like the Lions as a team from top to bottom, passing, running, defense, special teams even. They're doing their thing, man. You got to put them in that number 1 spot.
Wow. Okay. Chiefs at 3. That is interesting. 3. Okay. Well, trust me, we got more to dive in. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said they took a loss and they got beat up by the Broncos. I don't care who was out there. But go ahead.
Okay. Fair enough. Week 18 is still very important in Dan's eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let that fool you. It's not a bye week. It is not a drill. Week 18 counts. Oh man. Okay.
Let's get it.
Well, we are going to take a commercial break. This is the Rankings Roundtable show. We'll be right back with you, baby.
You are watching Team NBS Media. We are a digital media brand covering sports, entertainment, and lifestyle, with team members all across the country. Through our written content, podcasts, and video content, we bring you fresh and professional content. Interested in joining the team? Shoot us an email or DM. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Streetwear is not dead. The next wave in black fashion comes out the Bronx, New York. Rich Kid Clothing, picking up where FUBU, Rockaware, and Carl Kanai left off. Rich Kid is for the next generation of Get Fly fashion heads.
All right. So, Brock, before you get out of here, man, I got something to ask you because I know you made a facial expression when you saw Dan's list. Can we put Dan's list back up one more time? What was the team that made your face turn upside down like one of them classic emojis for you? What did it?
I think it's more of a personal thing, but it's definitely the Broncos. One, as many of you guys have known, I'm a Chargers fan, so there's a bias there that I will definitely admit to no matter what. The thing about the Broncos is I love watching them now. Bo Nix, for better or for worse, is a quintessential gunslinger. Does not care. Did not care from game 1, did not care in game 18. He's going to sling it. I do question some of let me phrase this in a proper manner. I do question their ability to properly compete in the postseason compared to some of the other teams that are not listed here. And that is my final statement.
Which teams are those?
So
that are not listed.
So one
that are not listed.
If I had to go like all the way down like to the 14 teams that are in the playoffs, I genuinely believe the Steelers are better than the Broncos.
Today?
I know. Here's why. First of all, let's not ignore. I know Steelers have been on a downward trend, and we can definitely admit to that. No doubt about it. We cannot ignore the fact that the Broncos played Joe Schmo and Huli Maguli on Sunday instead of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Okay, I'm sorry. Like playing a preseason roster and blowing them out in your full squad does not give me the confidence to say that your team is set to turn around when you pair that with the loss to the Bengals and the loss to the Chargers the week before. 2 games in which I felt either they should have won one of them, but quite frankly, going over towards the end of the game, they should have won both of them. They just didn't get the job done when it counted. There's also one team on my list that we had switched out. I forget the team's name, but I also have them ranked higher than the Broncos. It's gonna bug me until I can find it. But regardless of that point, I just think that there's a little bit more to be desired for the Broncos. That's why I have them off, and that's why I was like, I don't know. But for the most part, that's like the only disagreement that Dan and I have in our list. And again, I don't like the Broncos in general because of my fandom. So that's like I don't have to swallow a pill to put the Packers on there, but it was easier to swallow because you guys just beat them. But
Brock, I got to talk highly of the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers. You know how difficult that is, bro?
You know how difficult it is to have Patrick Mahomes in your division? You know how difficult it is to sit at home shoving chicken tenders in your face, watching Mahomes with the Packers in Super Bowls? You know how difficult it is as a person to walk into my community and see people celebrating the Chiefs? It's terrible. All right, but so I feel your pain, my man.
I got you.
Well said, Brock. Well said. Well, man, we will catch you at a later time. Again, congratulations again on Sports Illustrated, man. It's a pleasure, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thomas, Dad, Miss Joe Cardozo behind the screen. I appreciate you guys having me on. Y'all have a great show and a great rest of your guys' day.
Take it easy, buddy.
Absolutely. Till next time, man. Okay. Well, we're still pulling here. We still got a whole lot more to discuss, but of course, this is the part of the show where we get to see just how much more frowns or just how much more smiles we'll see in the comments section, because this is the part of the show where we get to talk about my list. There's many more like them, but this one is mine. Let's bring it up, man. My list, the final list of the 2024 NFL season. It goes as follows, man. I have the Broncos at 10. Their defense is incredible. I think I think that kind of goes without saying. They're number 1 in sacks with 63, and they have had 24 plus points in 7 straight games. So we have a defense that is getting after your quarterback and an offense that has no problem putting up points, led by Bo Nix. Pretty incredible, if you ask me. At 9, I have the Commanders. This team is 5th in points per game with 28.5. And Jaden Daniels, oh, man. You know what? As much as it pains me to know that we had to deal with him twice a year for the next 10 to 15 years, he's good, man. He is so, so good. Daniels against the blitz this year has 12 touchdowns to 1 interception. You know how many times we've heard, oh, well, if you go against a rookie quarterback, all you need to do is pressure him. And the next thing you know, he doesn't know what to do. He's shell-shocked. Well, not this guy. 12 touchdowns and 1 pick tells you everything that you need to know. Okay? He's good. He's really good. 8, I have the Chargers. Justin Herbert. He's had a year that has been very quiet. Not a whole lot of people want to talk about him a whole lot. But Justin Herbert had 23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions on the season. Pretty incredible, if you ask me. And their defense tied for 6th in sacks with 46. Very incredible. We have the Bucks at 7 here. They are first in the NFL on 3rd down. So the whole idea of, stopping them and thinking that that's all you have to do once you get in the 3rd down, that's not how it works for them. They will still find a way to convert. And they're number 1 for a reason. And Baker Mayfield, man, I love this guy. This guy, you can make the argument. I'm definitely going to make the argument that he's played like a top 10 quarterback this year. 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. It's been incredible what he's done, given the lack of weapons due to injury, some issues on the offensive line. The list goes on and on. He just finds a way to score and score again. And also, it does help that he has a defense that has held opponents under 20 points in 4 of the last 5 games. That does help a lot. 6, I had to put the Vikings here. Their defense is number 1 in interceptions with 24. They're tied for 4th in sacks with 49. And I got to give some love to a guy who looks like he might be comeback player of the year by default in Sam Darnold. 35 touchdowns, 2 and 12 interceptions. It's pretty good. I know we just saw them on Sunday night and how Detroit had Sam Darnold seeing ghosts again. But nevertheless, they're still a pretty good team. The 5th seed with 14 wins. Can't really go wrong with that, if you ask me. And then we have the Baltimore Ravens at 5. 31 plus points in 4 straight games. Pretty incredible, if you ask me. And they are undefeated when Derrick Henry has 90 plus yards. They are 10-0 when that happens. So, Steelers, you want to find a way to some way, somehow beat the Ravens this week? Hold Derrick Henry under 90 yards. Some things may happen. Some things may not. But I'm going to tell you right now, in that game, it's going to be a snooze fest by the time we get to the end of the first quarter. So, may not even make a difference. But we have the Eagles at 4. Saquon Barkley. I'm gonna eventually, since we have LiAngelo Ball dropping bangers. I think I might need to get in the studio and make a jingle about Saquon Barkley and the New York Giants for one of the greatest gifts known to mankind in Philadelphia Eagles history. 2,005 yards, 13 touchdowns, 5.8 yards per carry. Antonio Brown, Jesus Christ. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Yeah, see, I caught myself on that one. Yeah, there's a guy in Miami that's acting like Antonio Brown right now, but we'll talk about that later. We have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who was combined for 15 combined touchdowns. Pretty incredible. I have the Bills at 3, 24 plus points in 10 straight games, in the offensive line that has given up 14 sacks, which is number 1 in the entire NFL. I have Detroit Lions at 2. Look, man, I know what y'all saw on Sunday night. I saw what I saw on Sunday night. And by the way, if there was ever a game that showed why a guy should get a head coaching job, Aaron Glenn and his defense gave a masterclass on how that is done. He's about to get so many more calls today than probably you could say at the beginning of the year. Just off that defensive performance on Sunday night, it was impeccable. Holding them to 9 points. It's not something you can really do to the Minnesota Vikings on a consistent basis. So I got to have them at 2. And number 1, look, y'all. Look, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the Kansas City Chiefs are 15-2. I've heard all year long. You want to know what I've heard all year long?
We can't take them seriously because our offense hasn't put up 30 points. 30 points. The offense is not good. Mahomes is one of the worst quarterbacks.
Ridiculous. Okay? They are 15-2, and their offense is starting to play well. 2 of the things that we've been talking about all year that we didn't think was possible because of this, luck, black magic. I've heard it all. They are 15-2, and their offense is starting to put up points at a consistent basis. Okay? So I don't want to hear it until I see it. Okay? Okay? All right. That is why the Kansas City Chiefs are number 1. Now, if they lose, that is great. That is awesome. If they don't, I blame the whole NFL fan base because y'all have been trying to tell the whole world for years, for the past few weeks, that, you know what, I can't say anything about the Kansas City Chiefs until their offense gets together. Well, breaking news, they're getting it together, and they're getting it together at the right time. So I have the Chiefs at number 1, and that's my list, and I'm sticking to it, baby. Dan, I had to let that out because I swear it's been an eyesore all year. That's all I've heard. We can't take the Chiefs serious. The Chiefs are not serious. Yet I'm looking up. They're 15-2. They literally had to sit out everybody in week 18 because they already locked up the number 1 seed. Like, at what point do we just get the clue and move on? What's your thoughts on my list?
I think your list is solid, bro. I think it's a solid list. I can't argue with a team that was 15-1 or 16-1 or whatever they were going into week 18 and sitting all their guys. You know what I mean? So I can't argue them being at the number 1 position. I just don't respect them yet because I haven't seen when I look at other teams, right? And I see a team like even Philadelphia at points, they dominated people. Detroit dominated people. Buffalo dominated people. They dominated teams. They had multiple games where they dominated teams. I don't really look at the Chiefs and say, well, they dominated anybody. They won games and they got through, you know what I mean? But they didn't just dominate from start to finish a game in all aspects of the game. That's the only reason I put them at 3. That's the only reason. And I found it hard to try to put them against Philadelphia. I was about to put them in 4 because of that.
Okay.
I've seen it speaks to me when a team dominates another team, right? Physically, they impose their will and they do damage, right? The Chiefs are a good team and they're well coached and everything like that. So they go out there and they win and they perform. So I give them that credit. I can't argue it, but I'm just saying for me, man, it's something about seeing a team be dominant on the football field on the gridiron. Speaks to my soul.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It does what to your soul?
Speaks to my soul, bro. Speaks to my soul. Yeah, I like to see the physical, a team dominate. Don't just barely win. Don't slide by. Don't skate by. Don't backdoor this situation. Dominate, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you want to get Dan's attention? You dominate. You do not
like we
squeak
did
by.
against Green Bay.
Yeah, you say it out loud. Like they did in Green Bay, baby. Week 18 and all.
That's it. Week 18, we put belt to. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. No, we won by a field goal, but I'm taking it though. I don't get to gloat like this very often. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna weekly, every single day, all week, I'm going to put out a tweet where I'm disparaging the Green Bay Packers because of that. Yeah,
Hey, look, man. My dad famously told me a phrase that I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard before. Act like you've been there before. In this case, we can't use that. We cannot use that. Okay? It is not often that we can say that the Chicago Bears beat the Packers on the road. It's not often we can say
Lambeau. That. Yeah. Caleb Williams is undefeated in Lambeau. That's all I know. He's undefeated in Lambeau, bro. We're back. We are back.
Chi-Town, stand up, baby.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Okay. So from the highs of week 18 to the lows of Black Monday, which I said at the beginning of the show, I'm going to say it again. I think we should just retire the name Black Monday because apparently there are guys that we thought were going to get fired on Monday, survived Monday, then got fired on Tuesday, which was yesterday.
Mm-hmm. And there's some guys that got fired on Sunday.
Yeah, we're about to dive into that. And in fairness to the NFL ownerships and front offices across the league, they did not discriminate. We've seen GMs get fired. We've seen some head coaches get fired. So they made sure that they covered all bases. All right. Now, I want to address a team that waited until not too long after the game was over to fire their head coach. I am talking about Jerod Mayo in New England. First of all, when I saw this, I was like, damn, y'all couldn't wait until like a few hours later? Couldn't wait until the night game to come on and just be like, hey, we relieve you of your duties? Man, they put out the press release statement on Jerod Mayo. It's like they had that thing ready in the bank yesterday. Yeah. like they were waiting to send that out. And it makes me question, I wonder if he would have kept his job if the Patriots lost. I wonder if he had kept his job if they had lost to Buffalo. Dan, am I off on that or not? What's your thoughts when you saw that?
You're not off at all. I think they did the man dirty. It's crazy because and then what's even crazier to me is Robert Kraft said, well, it's the worst decision I've ever had to make. It was harder than firing and getting rid of parting ways with Bill Belichick. I'm like, are you kidding me? Bro, you fired the man 1 hour after the game and they won the game.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, you wonder if they had lost that game, would he have been fired? I don't know. Is Mike Vrabel just so enticing that Robert Kraft and the Kraft kid up there are salivating with the opportunity at getting Mike Vrabel. I don't know, bro. Like it's crazy to me. I don't understand how you do that to the dude after 1 year. Did you expect him to do magical things this year? Did you expect him with the rookie quarterback to go in there and light the world on fire? I don't understand, why he was used in this fashion. It's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah. And to go from one franchise to another franchise to the reason why I say that Black Monday should be retired is because the Vegas Raiders said, hold my beer. I got you, Patriots. We're going to let our head coach do all the exit interviews, go through the entire process, and then we're going to fire him. Yeah. Everybody in the whole world thought he was safe. On Monday, we were wrong. He was fired yesterday. And apparently, we are seeing reports about Brady, who is in on, this process of trying to find a head coach, went so far as to try to lure Bill Belichick from his already head coaching job in college
that he just
to go to the NFL. Yeah, he just got there. Like he just put all of his boxes in the office. He didn't finish taking out all of his trophies out yet. None of that. And all he hears is Tom Brady calling his phone saying, hey, man, are you really sure about the Tar Heels? You want to come over here and deal with the Vegas Raiders? Ridiculous. So what were your thoughts when you saw that Antonio Pierce was let go and just the aspect of Belichick even getting a phone call to Vegas?
Well, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, how do you let reports come out? Because there were reports that came out saying that Antonio Pierce was safe. This is before the game on Sunday, right? So before the game on Sunday, there were some reports that said, yeah, he's going to be safe. He's good. 1 year in, we're riding with him. And that's what everybody thought was going to end up happening. He lasted through Monday, and then here comes Tuesday, and it's like, hey, we're going to let you go. We're going to part ways now. And this is Raider-esque, bro. This is what they do. Like I don't have any trust and faith in the Raiders. That's why a lot of people were talking about in Bears circle. They were like, oh, this job is not that attractive. Look at how we fired Eberflus. It looks like we did it the right way. Like we fired the guy the day after a loss. You know what I mean? Like we fired him the right way, I believe. We didn't fire him an hour after the game, and we certainly didn't say, yeah, he's safe, and then turn around and backtrack on it 1 day later. That doesn't make sense either. So, you know what I mean? You look at these organizations, and it's like, are those more attractive than Chicago? I don't think so, because stuff like that is crazy. I feel bad for both of those guys because they only really got one real opportunity, 1 year, and both of them were dealt a hand. You given a bag of lemons and say, hey, make me some great tasting lemonade. I'm not giving you any sugar. You know what I mean? Make it happen. You know what I mean? And that's what they were given. And so it kind of sucks for them. But, man, it's no loyalty in these games. And people wonder why the players aren't loyal. You see what I'm saying? There's no loyalty in the teams. You know what I mean? The ownership, they it's a win now league, I guess, now. And they want instant success. Sometimes, man, you got to let that water boil for a minute. You know what I mean? Let these guys get their feet wet a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And there's only been one GM that's been let go throughout this entire process in a shocking manner, given their situation. I'm assuming that this team might be talked about in our Stinky 5 list later on. But the Tennessee Titans did something that I don't think has ever been done before. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's ever been a team who's had the number 1 overall pick on the horizon for their franchise and said, you know what? We'll keep the head coach, but we'll fire the GM. So the next GM that we bring along is going to make the ultimate decision of who we bring in at number 1. No pressure, though.
Well,
What when you saw that, what was going through your mind? Because I know for me, I was just like, what? What are we doing?
Yeah. I don't know, man. With something like that, it's amazing because how do you fire a GM? You keep the coach, and then you're gonna hire another GM. That's not his guy. It's not his guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lame duck coach. So, in essence, what they're doing, what Tennessee is doing, is what Chicago did, and I'll give you an example of it. Right? Now, it wasn't the exact same circumstances, but you go back to when Ryan Pace drafted Mitch Trubisky. John Fox was our coach. He lasted 1 year. He lasted more than 1 year, but he was there only 1 year of Mitch Trubisky's reign, right? So Mitch Trubisky was drafted. Ryan Pace drafted him, and Fox didn't even know who he was going to draft. He backdoored him on the draft, like didn't tell him. You know what I mean? He thought he was going a different direction.
Wow.
We go Mitch Trubisky. And then, the rest is written there. So you have a situation where you have a lame duck coach now. Whoever's going to go into this job is going to be seeking their own guy at some point in time. And how does that bode for the quarterback that you may draft or whatever you do in this draft coming up? How does that bode for them? And if you're looking for a GM now, how's that going to work? They're already behind in the process of evaluating talent and things like that. Sure, they got a little bit of time, but it's just a tough situation. I've never seen it happen like that before. And it just tells you that some of these teams are run so poor and they're just dysfunctional. Teams like them, Jacksonville, the New York Giants, the Jets, even Chicago to a certain degree, the Raiders, these teams are just, they're run very, very poorly, and they're bad franchises to play for right now.
Okay, real fast. We have the Jets. We have the Bears. We have the Raiders. We have the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm. Giants.
We have the Patriots. Am I missing another?
The Giants.
The Saints. No,
Yeah.
they kept
They
Hussein
did.
and they kept Abel,
They did. I'm sorry, my bad.
which was shocking. Okay,
Yeah, I was
it
surprised
should be
at
the
that, yeah.
Giants. Saints. I'm thinking on some other teams right now. Is that it?
I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
I think that's it. So out of these 6 teams that I just named, I don't even think this sounds right to even ask in a sentence. Out of these 6 stinky teams, which one is the most attractive? Like, if you were a head coach and you were looking around, you were like, you know what? I could work with this. What is that team for you?
I'm gonna say, and it's not a homer pick, right? This is not a homer pick. I'll tell you why. I'm gonna say Chicago 1A, and I'm gonna say New England B. All right.
Interesting.
So
okay.
those are the two most attractive in my opinion, right? Even though Robert Kraft did this situation and he fired the man, 1 hour after the fact, they still have a high draft pick. What are they, number 3? I think it is, right? Something like that. I don't know what they're picking.
Yeah.
They're picking somewhere up there. So they have a high draft pick, and then you do have the nostalgia of the Patriots. Robert Kraft, he's an owner who wants to win, so he's going to do whatever he can to win. So you have that situation going for you. You also have Drake May. He played pretty decent at points in the season, and he's made some vast improvements as the season's gone on. So you have that situation. Maybe that's a good situation to be in. But more attractive than them to me is Chicago. And I'm going to give you reasons why. Okay. Caleb Williams, number 1. He's the biggest, most highly touted prospect in the last 2.5, 3, 4 years since Andrew Luck at quarterback, basically. Or you may say Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence has been lackluster at best.
We're going to have some questions about him. pretty soon.
Lackluster at best, exactly. So you have that situation. But then with Chicago, it's not only Caleb Williams, but you do have Montez Sweat, you do have DJ Moore, you do have Jalen Johnson. And I always look at the 5 positions that you have to pay on a football field. It's left tackle, it's defensive end, it's wide receiver, it's cornerback, and it's quarterback. Those are your 5 money positions in the NFL. You have 3 of those guys locked up. In Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, DJ Moore. They're all locked up for 4+ years. DJ Moore is locked up for another 5 years after this year. So when you have that type of stuff, and then you have $80 million in salary cap space, you have your quarterback of the future locked in and Caleb Williams on a rookie deal. He's only on his first year, which means he has 4, possibly a 5th year option as well before you really have to pay him money. You have plenty of money to spend. All you have to do is go and solidify the defensive and offensive lines. That's what the Bears have to do. So in my opinion, I think they're attractive. And then here's the last piece that makes the Bears more attractive than anybody else. Bro, they're a charter franchise in the NFL, number 1. And number 2, they haven't won since 1985. They haven't won the Super Bowl. If you win in Chicago, you're going to be worshipped, bro. And despite what anybody says, the Cubs, the White Sox, despite any of that stuff, the Chicago Bulls and the dynasty that they had, Chicago is a Bears town. It's a football city. So at the end of the day, if you win there, if you mess around and win there, you're in good shape. You're worshiped. You're loved. You eat free steak at every steak restaurant in Chicago for the rest of your life. It's facts.
Yeah. You bring on a solid argument. I just, can I be honest? I just don't trust the McCaskies. just a tad. Just don't really trust them right now.
But go ahead. No, I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
Nah, I just don't trust him. And then Ryan Pace is starting to have like these like little fits. Have you heard about these little fits he's having? Like if Ben Johnson ends up getting the head coach, he's like, please don't get him. Anybody but him. Because if we get him, he's gone. Like I can see him now. He's just sitting there. He's just like, whatever you do, we're about to go through this process. No one ever call Detroit. Ever. Call Aaron. Do not call Ben Johnson. You call Ben and he says yes. I'm out of a job. Like I can see him doing that. I can actually see him like struggling with this process because he feels like he's going to lose his job. So, and you only get to feel that way if you know that you're not doing a solid job in your own right. Which hot take, given the decisions that he's made, hasn't been all that bad. But that's just me. Okay.
Yeah. You're right, actually. I agree with you on that. He hasn't been terrible. His biggest mistake was keeping Eberflus 1 year too long.
That's it. Mm-hmm. And we could live with that. It happens.
Yeah.
I don't trust the McCaskies. I feel like if I'm a head coach, I want nothing to do with the Jaguars because yet again, it seems like the GM doesn't get fired some way, somehow, but the head coach does? Okay. Like, how'd you talk yourself out of that happening? That's weird. Don't want to go there. And then you have your Jets. I'm like, don't like Woody. That's already an issue. You have your sons like determining whether you get them on your roster based off of Madden ratings. A game, by the way, I have played recently. It sucks.
It's not good.
No, those are the ratings that you're relying on. Okay, so those are determining your roster moves. Okay. Anyways, that's the Jets. Like I can go on and on. I think literally by default, it might have to be New England because you may not. You may be iffy on Robert Kraft, which I don't blame you because he has shown that unless your name is Bill Belichick, he's going to do this too and kick you out after one season if you don't give 12 wins. But I think the only thing that they have going for them is they have the quarterback that they don't have to pay. They have a lot of cap space. So if you want to go, get some free agents, you could, to help the offensive line, you can. You want to get some weapons on the outside, you can do that. The list goes on and on. Like, it's not just, you can just get one guy and then get someone in the draft and then hope and pray that it all works out. You can get your guy, get your offensive, defensive coordinators if necessary, and get your team the way that you want it constructed. That's how I would personally go about with New England. But even then, I will still be like, am I really going to keep this job long? Because if my name wasn't Mike Vrabel, I'm pretty sure that you're probably just going to boot me after 1 year too.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to sort out. But if I had to choose out of everybody, it would be New England. But you were going to say something about the McCaskies real fast. Go ahead.
Yeah, the McCaskies. I was just thinking about it, and it's like, true enough, I don't trust them to a certain degree either. The whole Hard Knocks thing, where I think they make a soft team. You know what I mean? Where we don't want no cursing on Hard Knocks, bro. It's football. Like, come on, what are we doing here? We're gonna baby this. We're gonna turn this into patty cake or whatever. I don't know, whatever. So they have some weird things going on there, and I don't really trust everything that they've done. But at the same time, I look around the league and I look at teams like the Saints. I look at teams like even the Cowboys, right? Of course, they're keeping McCarthy, but think about the dynamic that is Jerry Jones, Mr. I've got my radio station every week, and you know what I mean? And I'm threatening to fire radio hosts if they ask me a difficult question. That's what you have to deal with in Dallas, right? Woody Johnson fired guys midway through the season. You know what I mean? You got a quarterback. You put pressure on to get the quarterback. You wanted the wide receiver. You're probably going to part ways with both of them. That team is in utter and complete shambles, right? They haven't even had a winning season in the last 14 years, I don't think. You got the Raiders, who were playing musical chairs at quarterback and wide receiver and coach. I mean, think about it. John Gruden and Antonio Pierce and Rick Bisaccia. And I mean, it's just the list goes on and on and on, right? So, none of those organizations are run correctly. That's what I was saying about Chicago. All of these guys, man, they from ownership down, GM ownership, whatever you want to call it, they're just in shambles. What Jacksonville's doing is, malpractice, you might say. You know what I mean? Their fan base should be, sitting outside Jacksonville Stadium with torches right now.
Definitely. Well, this is, believe it or not, my favorite part of the show. This, and I'm doing this with a heavy heart because this is the finale of the Rankings Roundtable show. So I will put these shades on because maybe or maybe not, these tears may flow, because this is the last time that we will have one of the best segments in all of Team NBS media and one of my favorites that has ever been produced. I present to you the last ever Stinky 5 list. It never gets old. Dan, you have been a patented addition on this show. Give us your Stinky 5 list and why. And don't hold back, baby.
Man, you see them up there, the Jaguars. I mean, like I said, it's malpractice what they've done out there. They pushed out all this money that they hired. They hired Doug Peterson. They paid all these wide receivers and they paid this money to guys. The team is in shambles right now. I don't see how they make this up. You're talking about like a 5-year setback for the things that they've done out there. It's just bad. The Jets, man. I probably should have put the Jets at 5, to be honest with you. I mean, they just like I said, man, it's horrible. Woody Johnson, man, what are you doing? Literally, what are you doing? You tried this situation with grabbing an old washed up quarterback in Brett Favre years ago, and then you turn around and do it again with this, and then you had Devontae Adams, and they had the little reveal on Pat McAfee's show. That was a hilarious joke, right? And it turned out to be even worse when they got onto the football field and really didn't work out anything well at all. It just looked bad.
Right.
Even the plays. Aaron Rodgers played decent the other day. I think he threw for 274 yards. But the play that sticks out in my mind was a microcosm of the Jets season, where they did the flea flicker, where they threw the ball backwards. They threw it, tossed it back to Aaron Rodgers. He looked downfield, couldn't find anybody, threw it to Devontae Adams, and he got blown up on the sideline by Jalen Ramsey. It was just – I was like, that's Jets. That's the Jets. You couldn't frame it any better than that. It was just the Jets. Yeah, turn the TV on, and that's what you would see from the Jets. The Titans, once again, man, how do you fire you got a lame duck coach, and everybody knows it now. So whatever GM comes in there knows that he's going to have to deal with that, and he knows what he's doing. And even the coach knows, hey, my days are numbered. I'm a dead man walking here around Tennessee right now. They're going to push me out the door at some point. The new GM is not going to want me. The Giants, once again, terrible, terrible team. What are they doing? They have, you let Saquon go to a division rival in Philadelphia, and he's flourishing like nobody's business right now. You kept Daniel Jones only to get rid of him, cut him later on, and now you don't have a running back or a quarterback, and you're in shambles, right? So, I mean, what do you do there? And you're still sticking through with Dayball and with Schoen or Sheen, whatever, however you pronounce his name. Doesn't really matter. He'll be fired pretty soon anyways. And then you got the Browns. And the Browns are, they just can't get right. This is a team that just can't get right. Like the movie, what was that movie, Life? Remember the guy that was the batter? You know what I mean? The baseball player, his name was Can't Get Right. That's the Browns. The Cleveland Can't Get Rights. That's what they are. Because they will never be good. They will never be anything. Like this is what they are. They will always be that bad. I just don't see them turning it around. I really don't. And Myles Garrett will probably be up out of there pretty soon. And it's sad that he's wasted his whole career, basically. He's 29, about to be 30 years old or whatever. And you've been on this terrible Browns team. You've been one of the stalwarts, the best defensive players in the league, and you've played your entire career. It's what they did to him. It's what they did to Andrew. What was it? Who did they do that to? Was it Whitworth? Andrew Whitworth, left tackle. He played his whole career there, and just it was bad. He ended up going to the Rams later on. But this is
Joe Thomas, who you're referring to.
Yeah, Joe Thomas.
Yeah,
absolutely. So this is what the team is. This is what they are. The Cleveland Can't Get Rights. Change the name.
The Cleveland Can't Get Rights. They are so trash. We can't even call them Browns. Oh no. My goodness,
they're worse than Browns.
We putting that on the album. Trust me, that's going to be on our next one. Trust me, we got that coming for sure. Okay, cool. I love it, man. I love it. Dan, as always, man, you have no idea how much I appreciate you coming in as often as you have this year for us with the Rankings Roundtable show. Greatly appreciated. I want to give a quick shout out to the boss man, Joe, been producing this show. He has been sacrificing some long hours dealing with life outside of here to deal with our shenanigans on a weekly basis. We greatly appreciate you, Joe, in the background producing this show. And to all of you who have been watching this show week in, week out, commenting, giving it a like, giving it a share, giving it a subscribe, giving us a follow. We appreciate all of you. Dan, before we get out of here, where can they follow you at as we end this finale off right, baby?
At Danikin_DG3 on X and on TikTok. Of course, Three Kings of the Midway podcast, a podcast that I do about the Chicago Bears. I'm on Spaces all the time. I handle that. And actually, we'll have a Spaces coming through Team NBS tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. So hopefully people tune in. I got to pump that out there and get some listeners and get some people to view it. It's not something that you view, but of course you can go in there. You can chime in there. We'll have conversations about the biggest sports topics, at least 2 of them from the day, and maybe some life or entertainment topics as well. So we're looking forward to that. I'll be doing it with Joe, with Ashmere, with Mark as well. So we're looking forward to that. We'll have a good time tomorrow doing that, and hopefully keep it going weekly and just have fun with it, man. Thanks for having me as always. I appreciate it, bro. You bring a lot of energy to this thing. I like what you do. It's a dope show. I'm here for you anytime you want to have me. Not only when the Bears suck, but also when we beat Green Bay in Lambeau.
Yeah. Boom. What a mic drop, huh?
I'm done. I'm done.
That's what I'm talking about, man. This is what it's like to be a part of victory. You lose your mind. I love it. Whether it's week 18 or week 1, I love it, man. But y'all can follow me at __ terrific Tom _ because it's infinite around here on X, on Instagram. I'm a lot more active on Instagram, so don't get me started. And also, I will be a part of the Spaces tomorrow at 11 a.m. So I will be very, very excited and energized to be a part of that. We have Off the Dome. Say it again. At the end of the month.
Last Thursday, the last Thursday, not tomorrow.
Okay, last Thursday. Okay,
sorry about that.
Whoopsies. Last Thursday at the end of the month. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Might mess around and get canceled here. Okay. So yeah, that's where you could find us at. Again, I have Off the Dome, hosting Off the Dome on Fridays. We will be right back with Off the Dome. Another episode with that. Might have a interview on that one as well. We've done pretty well with that. Y'all seem to like that pretty well. So Off the Dome Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And this is it, man. This is it for the Rankings Roundtable show. As your host, Thomas Brown Jr. And I will pull a Tyreek Hill and letting the whole world know, hey, man, I'm out. We're out. And we will see you later. Fly, Eagles, fly, and have fun, baby. See ya.